Following his opening match at the US Open on Monday, Nick Kyrgios opened up about how emotionally uncomfortable he felt playing against his childhood friend and doubles partner, Thanasi Kokkinakis. He also made headlines for another reason, being disruptive and complaining about the smell of marijuana. Here's everything we know. First off, why was Kyrgios so agitated? In the second round on a pleasant evening, Kyrgios had to play a stranger. The stranger in question was 44th-ranked Benjamin Bonzi, who was making his US Open main draw debut. But the 26-year-old Frenchman Kyrgios seemed not just uncomfortable, but out of form. You could almost call his demeanor edgy and irritable for the duration of the match. But we can admit that even though the majority of his service games were really smooth, the kind of smoothness you get while shooting 210 km/h serves at your opponent, he made 49 unforced mistakes and seemed unsatisfied throughout as he dragged himself to a 7-6, 7-3, 6-4, 4-6, 6-4 win in just under 3 hours. He exclaimed at his box. He muttered and screamed at himself, "Watch the ball." He even complained to the chair umpire that he smelt marijuana smoke, and this is what prompted a no-smoking request from the umpire, who didn't specifically mention marijuana though, and he displayed pretty unsportsmanlike conduct. He was issued a warning for spitting on the court in the midst of a small outburst as he handed Bonzi the third set at crunch time. Even though you could link the smoking problem to Kyrgios having asthma, the general moodiness is something he attributes to feeling a newfound type of pressure since getting to the Wimbledon final. He thought making it this far would ease his mind, but instead, it inspired him to be motivated to reinvent himself and get himself back to his top game. So it basically did the opposite. Who would have guessed? Next up, why being Nick Kyrgios isn't easy. Suddenly, he finds himself having to find a balance between not only even more media requests and fan interest, but also his personal life and tennis. Even though Kyrgios thought playing well over the summer would calm his mind, it just increased his expectations. Now he's being even more strict with himself, monitoring his diet and trying to get sleep. He revealed that it's been so stressful for him that he doesn't know who he is anymore. For a tennis player who's also a perfectionist on the court, the success would be a double-edged sword. Yes, it's nice, but it's also made life harder for him. "This is the most pressure I've had on myself, now that I know I'm capable of going to a slam final," Kyrgios said. "The match was a turning point for me. Getting so close but losing was tough to swallow, and I want to get back there and bring my team with me." The loud vibe of the US Open wouldn't be a help, even though he has so many supportive fans. He talked about it and said that it's often so noisy that he has trouble hearing his teams. There's sirens and trains and plenty of other noises and heckling. It's a real struggle to focus because there's a lot of distractions. Of course those are there. A seasoned tennis player ought to be used to those things by now. Let's talk about the match itself. This match kicked off pretty smoothly, with Kyrgios seeming happy to check Bonzi for nerves and letting the Open rookie make unforced errors when there was an opening game service break. But Kyrgios ended up handing that advantage back literally minutes later when he had that one sloppy service game in the first set. He didn't find a rhythm or dictate points on Bonzi's serve, and often acted too quick to try drop shots. Kyrgios wasn't able to finish the challenger off till we got to the tiebreaker, which he won 7-3. The second set was just a little bit easier, as Kyrgios gave improved serves and made considerable progress in his ratio of winners to unforced errors. But when things got tight, it was mostly just Kyrgios making things difficult for himself. The two exchanged service holds throughout the third set, before Bonzi increased his service return game, twice sending 210 km/h serves back and past Kyrgios, who then suddenly lost his composure, trying a tweener when he shouldn't have, and completely ruining an easy volley. Now on to things get heated. Then after that warning for unsportsmanlike conduct, Kyrgios, down 5-4, handed over the set with several forehands that looked like they were being slammed more with anger rather than a calculated approach. Kyrgios easily commenced the fourth set, but at 1-1 he lost his focus, getting distracted by people walking as he started to serve, and that is how he gave away the game. But luck was on his side. The moment seemed too overwhelming for Bonzi, who played carelessly and ended up handing the service break right back at him, losing his chance. Then both competitors settled in for what was probably their most consistent stretch of play. Bonzi would come up with shocking returns of serve, but Kyrgios would clap back with an ace. Bonzi would hit a passing shot down the line, and Kyrgios would reply to it with a chip shot approach winner. Finally, here's how the match ended. When the score was 3-3, Kyrgios managed to save 2 break points before hitting cross-court behind his opponent to reclaim the edge, and then ended the game with an ace up the tee. Now, the tension was super high, and with the finish line in sight, Bonzi nearly came out on top again at 4-4, starting with a beautiful lob for love 15. Kyrgios was speaking to his box again, but he miraculously got back his composure and hit a couple of beautiful cross-court forehands on the next 2 points before giving us a perfectly placed serve up the middle. After bagging 5 points one after the other to keep his hold on the game, Kyrgios steadily kept a good rhythm going, putting an end to Bonzi's hopes for a win with 4 more consecutive points, which included an excellent lob and sharp backhand winner to finally end the match. Kyrgios had finally got to the third round. Now we'll see him play American wildcard J.J. Wolf on Friday for a spot in the second week in New York. Now, in other related news, starting with Naomi Osaka exits US Open. In a weird turn of events, Naomi Osaka has exited the US Open in just the first round. She was defeated by Danielle Collins, who was also the finalist at the Australian Open, 7-6, 6-3. Once the match wrapped up and before leaving the court, we saw the Japanese tennis player taking out her mobile phone to snap a photo of the Arthur Ashe court. She later spoke about it and said that she took the picture because it was very beautiful and she wanted something to remember it by. After Osaka made a strong entrance at 3-0, her opponent took it well to break the losing streak. They had faced up against each other twice before, with the two-time US Open champion winning in Indian Wells in 2019 and in Miami this year. Moving on, why didn't Osaka perform as well this time? Osaka ultimately confessed at the end of the match that she wasn't as comfortable on the court this time around and said that maybe she should learn a thing or two from the rising star Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz. She opened up and said that at the time, she didn't have as much confidence in her drive as she should have, and that made her play safer than she ought to. We also learned that she's been having problems for some time now. She can't hit her forehand like always. Sounds like she's found herself in a rut. Hopefully she can overcome it and get back to her usual game-changing form. The fans would love to see that, but let's not forget, the season's been an extra tough one for the Japanese since she's also had plenty of injuries. The thing to do now would be to take some time off and recover fully. Wrapping it up with, we might see Djokovic at US Open. It turns out that tennis fans might get to see Djokovic play at the 2022 US Open after American authorities made the decision that they'll no longer discriminate between people who've taken the COVID vaccine and those who haven't. When faced with the possibility of being forced to sit out the US Open, Djokovic had previously said that he's determined and he's going to stick with his decision. He also said he's all right with it if he misses out on some opportunities to play because of not being vaccinated too. Things are different now and Djokovic will be able to enter the United States without getting vaccinated, and his participation in New York now lies in the hands of the tournament organizers. A few days ago, the CDC officially announced pretty much the entire erasure of COVID restrictions. The main takeaway from that is that just a few days from now, vaccinated people are set to be treated exactly the same as unvaccinated people. This development opens the door for the world number 5 and Wimbledon champion to compete in the US Open. In fact, the Serb is probably already sitting around and waiting for the organizers of the tournament to call him and confirm his participation, seeing that he's already registered. And that's a wrap. Are you looking forward to seeing Kyrgios now play against JJ? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. Thanks for watching and see you next time.